Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Nothing Venture, Nothing Game. As always, I'm your host, GM Jared, and today we're going to set sails on the open seas of RPGs to check out the mystical realm that is created through the tabletop role-playing game of the Black Sword Hack, but the Ultimate Chaos Edition. Here's the book right here. Check it out. It's a very small book. This is great if you're looking to carry something, bring it to work. School, classes, you could throw it in your backpack or in your satchel. It's a very small book. This was created by Kobayashi, who took the original Black Sword Hack and kind of tweaked the rules and all that jazz. This is published by the Merry Mushman, and the art is by Goran Glikovic. And today we're totally here to just kind of unearth everything that's going on, give a quick review. Again, it's a very small, as you can see, very small. So there's not going to be a lot happening here. We're going to talk about it, go over like everything going on. But yeah, so strap in and let's leap headfirst into this really cool RPG. So what do we know about the Black Sword Hack? Basically, the Black Sword Hack, the Ultimate Chaos Edition, is one of the part of the OSR, or the Old School Renaissance game movement. It strides a distinctive chord echoing that of the legacies of legendary authors such as Robert E. Howard's, Jack Vance's The Dying Earth series, Fritz Leiber's The Landmark series, Lankmar series, Grey Mouser and Farfar, all those awesome kind of pulpy, gritty, Conan the Barbarian, the edginess of everything. This game is not for the faint of heart, as your characters can't live in this gritty, grim, dark universe and can die very easily. The 112-page book, PDF, teams with dangers and excitement and a healthy drop of chaos. Actually, it talks about the balance of chaos and law, and the balance, which was very common in Michael Moorcock's The Elric Legacy. And, that kind of transitioned into what we know of like the alignment chart. But originally, the old school stuff was just like law, chaos, and neutral. And that was it. And then we kind of started getting more of that, like, where do you put Batman? Is Batman like lawful good, or is he like chaotic neutral? Stuff like that. So we're going to hop over and check out this art, because honestly, the art inspires the whole book. It kind of brings everything together. Goran Glikovic's artwork merits its own movement in the spotlight. It's not mere decoration, but an integral narrative tool, setting the tone of the game. Each image is a portal deeper into the world that you can imagine when reading the Black Sword Hack, painting vivid scenes that can ignite 1,000 adventurers' ideas in the GM's mind. The raw, rugged, and slightly chaotic style perfectly mirrors the game's ambience, pulling the reader deeper into the game's universe. The artwork here brings everything back to that 70s, 80s gritty realism that we all kind of know and love if you have fond memories of seeing the Conan the Barbarian movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, or seeing the Flash Gordon movie back in the day with the amazing music. The artwork here encompasses that and brings you, the GM, the reader, back to that world, that old school feel. So let's delve into the game mechanics of Black Sword Hack. Feels crazy and it's super easy. It's a beautiful marriage of traditional RPG elements with modern mechanics, effortlessly catering to both veteran and new players alike. I'm excited to actually jump into this with some of new players on our Discord that I'm going to be running through a West Marches style campaign using this system. The gameplay works on turns, and every player can carry out 2 actions within their turn. Sometimes they get 3, but mostly 2 actions. It's a system that ensures gameplay remains dynamic, and even participants get every moment in the spotlight. So my turn, I get my spotlight, and then I get those 2 actions to be dynamic and flowing, and then I jump to the next turn, and that keeps everything going. The core mechanics of the Black sword hack, it's a D20 system, and the champions or the heroes, whatever you want to call them, have to roll under a specific number. So if you know 5th edition or many other tabletop role-playing games, you'll have the large number and then the modifier that gets added to the D20. This is different. You'll just have that large number of, let's say, 12. So whenever you roll, you have to roll under the 12. It's very easy to grasp. The whole system is just super easy, and any player can get a handle of like how to like jump into this. It's very simple. While in combat, though, each player gets to take 2 actions per turn. We spoke about that, the 2-action system. But here's the problem. If you repeat the same actions from the previous turn, you have to deal with your doom die. And this is part of that usage die, but every player has a doom die that they have to deal with as they're playing. This feature is kind of key to Black Sword Hack. It's mechanic that keeps the adrenaline like pumping and like the danger looming, because you don't want to become doomed. And there's a whole system that deals with being doomed. When a player repeats an action, like I said, you kind of get that doom system. Now, what happens when you become doomed? Basically, you have disadvantage until you get a full night's rest and like fully recover. And then your doom die kind of replenishes and it's ready to start dealing again. A lot of times you might find yourself dealing and wanting to use that doom die because you can use it. It's a usage die, and that we'll talk about that in a second. Another thing that the game kind of steals from like the modern systems of like tabletop role-playing games from like 5th edition is advantage and disadvantage. It's super easy. A lot of people understand it. Basically, when you fortune smiles upon the brave, you get advantage, and you roll 2d20s, and obviously you want to get the lower result, right? So that's your advantage. You want to, like, I roll a 15 and then a 5. I want the 5, which is kind of different than most modern systems where you're rolling above the number. Again, this harkens back to the old school system. So that go to hit AC under 0, or to hit AC 0, basically. And then if you have disadvantage, you roll 2d20s and you take the higher one. Now, again, in this system, a 1 counts as a critical success and a 20 counts as a critical failure. So it kind of like flip-flops everything on that. But again, the advantage, disadvantage system, super easy to understand. Now, they don't have a lot of stuff in this book, right? It's a very small book, like I said before. And basically what you're dealing with is if your player is like dealing with certain things, like let's say the player is fighting against a nefarious paladin, and let's say they kind of have the high ground.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
They have the high ground. They have advantage. We talked about how the combat system works. This notion of the usage die. It kind of comes into play to like ratchet up the tension. Suddenly you're out of this, or you don't have that because of this usage die, and you're using it to change the system as you're playing. So that's how usage die and doom die work in the system. Character creation is super brisk. It goes very fast. Instead of trudging through like all this, like choosing a species and a class and a background, you basically, all you do, your stats. So you roll 2d6 and you add those together, and then it tells you a number. So if, let's say, I were to roll a 2, I would have a 8. So again, now I'm trying to roll under an 8, which is rough. And if, let's say, I roll really well, I might have a higher score. And there are 3 types of magic in the game. There are spirits, demons, and fae. Decadent gets the ability to deal with fae and demons, and barbarian gets to deal with spirits. There are also ways to, civilized also, you get to deal with like an inventor. It's weird, like making weird robot-y stuff. Basically, every time you complete a story, leveling up is streamlined, with your character ascending a level at the end of each adventure, and the levels are capped at 10. So you can go on like 10 small event or 10 adventures, and then that's it. This might be a bit restrictive, but really it fits that whole OSR concept of like going out and playing, and that's kind of where we sit with that. So kind of my final thoughts on the whole thing. So what's the final verdict on the Black Sword hat? It certainly possesses a lot of charm, the swift, thrilling combat, the ingenious usage die, and the old school dark, gritty atmosphere all blend together into this compelling game experience. And as a GM, I totally appreciate the narrative freedom this game gives me. I'm not stuck by like a lot of rules. Remember, it's disadvantage or advantage if I have the high ground, right? It's doom die, it's usage die. Like any game, it is. But here's the problem: there are some drawbacks. While the streamlined leveling system keeps the narrative going forward, it might leave players wanting more. Your characters don't dramatically change. You do get gifts, but you don't dramatically change like something you're used to. If, let's say, you're playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition or even Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition, you know, I hit 3rd level, I choose this oath as a paladin, or I'm a warlock and I get this ability. So it might leave you feeling you want more. But again, this is supposed to be that like simple system where you're going out, you're a rogue, you know, think like Lord of the Rings, really. So it's a very easy system to get a hands on. Despite these potential downsides, I firmly believe that the Black Sword Hack, the Ultimate Chaos Edition, strengths more than compensate for its weakness. The simplicity of the game rules and the dark gritty vibe of the whole world offer a unique and captivating game experience. It's a game that champions narrative play and gives players the reins to shape their characters' destinies without in a world on brink. So if you're like a fan of the Morkborg system, you might love this system. This might be something you love a little bit more than Morkborg. Actually, you probably could play this in the Morkborg universe. Or, like, I love Warhammer. I love Warhammer Fantasy, but I've played the Warhammer Fantasy tabletop role-playing game. There's percentage dice and there's a whole thing. This is a little faster, right? Your hit points are just your con score, and that's it. So if I have a 9 and a con, I have 9 hit points. That's it. So, in conclusion, if you're aficionado of old school narrative-centric RPGs and you relish like dark, gritty stuff, grab this. This is something right up for you. If you're into that whole like Elric or Conan the Barbarian, and you want something fast and easy to get your friends around the table to just spit out a quick story, maybe do like 3 or 4 one-shots where it's not a single narrative thread, but it's like the Grey Mouser and Farfar stories. A lot of those stories, or like even the Conan stories, they were single-shot stories. Like, yeah, those overarching villains that repeated sometimes, but a lot of those stories were just like, hey, they find this snake temple, they deal with what's in there. They go up in the Silver Tower and they deal with the weird space elephant. So that's all for today, adventurers. As always, I'm your host with the most, your GM Jared. And we, from Nothing Venture, Nothing Aim, we love rolling dice, giving advice with a little bit of that New York spice. Until next time, happy gaming, everyone.